I guess the second part of this discussion, you want to hear a little bit about a movie called Terrifier.
Yeah, I think a few people might want to hear.
Well, one of the things I have zero regrets, Lauren. I really do. I mean, if it wasn't for meeting Tony Timpone, I wouldn't have worked for the other company. If it wasn't for the other company, I wouldn't have made the contacts that I have. Under Dread Central, I got to meet and befriend and work with a lot of my idols growing up.
Yeah.
Including George Romero, who became a mentor to me, and Sid Haig, who became a mentor to me. So
right, guys,
you're getting mentored by George Romero and Sid Haig.
I always say that too. Is like in a situation like me, I've been in close to about 100 independent films, and guys, like 60 of them you can't even find. But I know what you're saying about like you could be on a set with someone though that's mentoring you. You're still learning, even though I can't point you to go watch it.
Absolutely,
learning experience.
Absolutely.
Some of these people are with names, so it all leads to something. It all leads to a network.
Sure.
Yep.
And the contacts I made there have been both professionally and personally the best of my life. I mean, when shit's going wrong in your life, I got to call George Romero. I got to call Sid Haig and said, "Hey, what the fuck do I do about this?"
Yeah.
I mean, those two cats are legends, man.
By far.
And you sit there and you think about that. And if Sid Haig or George Romero, people like that, if you're ever lucky enough to befriend them, that's like the equivalent of Bigfoot deeming you cool enough to know that he exists.
Yeah.
I mean? So I learned so much and was taught so much, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am to have been able to work with everyone I've worked with, and just it's been such an amazing ride. And so that'll kind of lead into Terrifier.
Yeah.
Epic Pictures Group wanted to have Dread Central become like the name of their horror label. Epic Pictures had put out a ton of great horror content. They did that Tales of Halloween. They did, The Lodgers, really, really solid stuff. And they wanted to leverage the brand Dread Central to be, their DVD, Blu-ray line. And so it fell upon me and a few other people in the company to start fielding movies and start watching them and come up with something that we wanted, that we thought would be a good debut release. And one of the first thing I found was the Kane Hodder documentary.
Great flick. Great.
Incredible. And such a pleasure to work with those cats. And so I picked that one. But I have to be honest with you, man, just about everything else I saw was terrible. Abso-fucking-lutely terrible.
They're out there, man. They are.
And here comes this little flick called Terrifier. And I put it on, and I'm watching it, and it ends, and I'm like, was that as fucking good as I think it was? So I started it. I went back to the beginning, and I started it over, and I watched it again, and then I watched it again. I watched it like 3 times in a row, and I called up, Epic, and I'm like, this is it. This is the one. This is it. This is the movie that we have to lead with. And they acquired it, but they kind of
were they scared of it a little bit?
Yeah. And
saying, I didn't know if that was it.
For a while, there was a lot of things brought up and a lot of trepidation because Terrifier is a bit of a hard sell, and there was talk of having everything done to it, from changing the title to editing the movie. One of the people I was dealing with directly at Epic, who's no longer there, he straight up said to me, this is unsellable. No one's going to want to watch this. No one's going to do that. And it got to the point where I said, listen, if this movie doesn't perform the way that I know it's going to perform, I will quit. I will leave. You have my company. You know, this is the one that's going to do it. And I was absolutely ready to put it all on the line.
You did with that, you know.
And I mean, and the reason, I'll be honest with you, don't think I'm like this great champion. I mean, there was a lot of trepidation with me in them, and this was the last straw for me. You know what I mean? So I was like, if this doesn't work, I will quit. You can have the company. I will walk away. And so they took the chance on my ranting and insistence and telling them this has to be released the way that it is. You can't take a movie like Terrifier and edit it and have it be Terrifier. It won't work, right?
Yeah, you're watering it down. You're gonna make it generic.
Yeah, it had to be exactly what it was, and that's what Damien Leone and Phil Falcone and everyone who worked on that movie,
The Levy brothers, everyone, yeah.
the Levy brothers, David Howard Thornton,
Yep.
Jenica, everybody. They created this amazing movie, and it got to the point where it felt like the only people who were believing in it was myself and the filmmakers. And even we started arguing because I was getting so much pressure from Epic, and movie
I think they probably wanted the first scene cut down or completely out, right?
It's so much. But the movie came out and it found its audience, and it's been, knock wood, so embraced, and it happened so fast, and even though it was successful, I ended up walking away from Dread Central.
Crazy. It's crazy that you brought in basically the new horror movie icon. It's about to probably be a par one day with the other ones, and that was you're leading it to water, and now you're not there. It's weird, man.
Well, I am still there in the Terrifier camp, and I'm lucky to be there. But Terrifier ended up being the swan song of my relationship with Dread Central. And you know what? I couldn't have asked for a better swan song. I couldn't ask for a better note to go out on than to
by far, yeah,
some small hand and bringing something to light that the fans absolutely loved, and I've said it 100 times. Damien likes to say things like I'm, the movie's champion, and David has echoed those thoughts as well as many other people, but it wasn't me, man. That movie is just that fucking good. And the only thing I did was insist that this movie is that good, They did all the heavy lifting. They did all.
They're a great unit.
Yeah,
really, like David, Damien, like Phil. I mean, they're all the Levy brothers, Steve. They're just one good unit. They got it.
To have my name even remotely associated with that is an honor to me, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. I am so humbled by the reaction Terrifier has gotten. And in a way, it's also like vindication, because I'm like, you see, I was fucking right.
Damn right you were. Yeah.
And that's such an amazing dude. I had just moved back to the East Coast, and
we only get so many, if you want to say the word icons.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean?
A lot of people,
really, and like you're the one that led the horse to the water,
But there's a lot of people out there who try to create new icons, or they try to create cult classics, and few of the filmmakers who do this, the trap that they fall into, or what they end up dealing with, is you can't make a cult classic.
This has to happen. Yeah, I know.
The audience makes a cult classic. the audience that it finds are going to be the ones to champion your project into becoming a cult classic. So it's ultimately the horror fan that decides who the icons are, what the classics are, and I it blows my mind, man. The first time I saw the line for Terrifier at a convention and just seeing how many people like live and in person, because I was over on the West Coast this whole time.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I got to see how much this character in this movie meant to people. And Lauren, I fucking teared up, man. It was just such an amazing thing to witness and to even think that I'm a part of that. That just,
Yeah.
and again, I was fucking right.
Damn
And
right.
and it was just such an amazing thing, and it's turned into a phenomenon, and it's only gonna get fucking bigger, you know.
Yeah, it is. I was at the second shoot for at least 15, 16 days. So like, yeah, I was, help land a location. Everyone keeps an up. Everybody keep an eye on who's playing the DJ. And it was some great. I just loved. Those guys are great. We all gelled. I did everything I could. I did a little part to help the film, and it was awesome. And that led me back to you. And it's like, it is. It's just one big family.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's just great to be a part of all that.
I will lay down my fucking soul for the Terrifier crew in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even have to think about it. That's how excited I am to be a part of this family and how much I believe in Damien's vision and Phil Falcone and the Levy brothers. I love those cats, you know.
Think
Those,
about 10 years from now between the Levy brothers and
I know.
like other projects that they're going to bring to life.
There's a lot of excitement, man.
Yep.
And there's a lot of really cool things happening.